Hi, I'm Elisa Wood. I'm the editor-in-chief of Microgrid Knowledge, and I'm here today at Microgrid 2020 Global. I had the opportunity to recently interview Mark Feasel, who is the president of Smart Grid at Schneider Electric. Mark talked to us about how COVID-19 has affected the microgrid market. He had some really interesting things to say about the new types of projects that are being developed and the new kind of customers who are becoming interested in microgrids.
We continue to see a world in which resilience is changing, and where it's required. It's now required in different kinds of environments. We're doing healthcare practices, places beyond the hospital environment, including smaller clinics, and even all the way down to the home healthcare now being a big trend within COVID, keeping people dispersed. We've learned that different kinds of infrastructure needs hardened, and that can include things like I think especially we've seen it in the CPG, the consumer packaged goods industry, where warehouses, distribution centers, cold storage. These are places when we've seen supply chains associated with consumer packaged goods under stress from COVID. How are we keeping those kinds of facilities, providing the resilience that they need to operate? To make sure that our stores are stocked with food and other goods. So we've seen a push, in that direction. We've seen this idea of decentralizing, where people gather. So maybe 2 years ago, we would have talked about creating a resilient, maybe football stadium to allow people to gather during a time of unstableness or something in the community, maybe a severe weather, hurricanes or something. And now, in light of COVID, we don't necessarily think about putting a lot of people in one space. We might think about how to put, smaller groups of people distributed out in one community. And whether you're talking about, hardening a small elementary school versus a stadium, or a home or a clinic versus a hospital, very different kinds of solutions are required. We've got to think about simplifying what happens on site. We have to think about moving complexity away from the site, moving it to the cloud. When you move complexity to the cloud, we can deploy much larger computing power against it to do more sophisticated analysis. And in doing so, we also can lower the cost. So it's kind of the best of both worlds when we're able to bring that complexity, to the cloud and share that in analytics around many more people. We also think about moving it from the site to the advanced manufacturing environment. 10 years ago, if you put a microgrid in, you're going to have pallets of electrical distribution equipment and inverters and drives and solar panels showing up, breakers showing up, integrated on site. And it can be intrusive to the site, but that's, that was what the means we had at our disposal to do those. But been able to move a lot of that work into the manufactured environment, and in doing so, really minimize the impact on the site. A great example is a few months ago, Schneider Electric, along with our partner REC Solar, it became time to commission a microgrid that we're working on together in Hawaii. And of course, during COVID, we're all very sensitive around when and how we deploy our engineers. And we were able to commission this microgrid completely remotely. So Schneider Electric was commissioned it remotely. REC Solar had a local representative on site. And you can imagine that, over time, as these tools and practices are perfected, not only are we going to limit the intrusion on the site, but we're going to be able to take costs out as a matter as well. So when we think about the story of, moving that complication to the factory or to the cloud, we're solving a lot of the technical and the construction issues, but there's still important other complexity that needs to be addressed. And that can be the regulatory questions. Will I be able to interconnect these assets? What incentives and rebates am I eligible for? And there's financial questions. What's the capital required to go do this? How much will it take to operate it? What will my return on investment be? And that's the real importance of developing energy as a service models, being able to take those risks away from consumers to make it extremely easy to be able to embrace decentralized, decarbonized, digitized energy, making it easy as buying energy from their existing utility today. So in support of that, of course, we've We've stood up Green Structure, a company that now is adjacent to Alpha Structure. So energy as a service through Green Structure from 500 kW to 5 megawatts and above 5 megawatts with Alpha Structure. So it can really handle a much larger portion of the market today.
And then what if I'm a commercial industrial customer and really my big concern is my energy costs? Why would I want a microgrid? What would it do for me?
Well, for certainly as a commercial industrial customer, you're exposed to a complicated tariff that has generally is going to have some time-based components. When you have time-based components of your energy rates, flexibility is the key to managing those costs. And that's exactly what a microgrid provides is flexibility. Now, if you happen to be a commercial or industrial customer and also in a market with wholesale energy, you may be able to monetize that in even more ways. So if you're in an ISO area, there may be programs in which you can dispatch that flexibility against and actually create some revenue streams. So not only can it be a function of saving costs, using flexibility to save costs, but then also using that flexibility for incremental revenue streams. Maybe it's ancillary services market. But even beyond that, you go back to that story of resilience. If you got a commercial or industrial customer, when severe weather hits, when the grid goes down, are you sending your employees home onto those streets that maybe poles are down and trees are down, or maybe it's bad weather, poor visibility, or you're providing safe harbor for them? Are you providing a place where your customers can utilize your business? Maybe you're operating a grocery store or a gas station, and are you able to serve those customers when they need it most? Or maybe it's a credit union during those time periods. Microgrids can provide some of that. Or maybe you're a manufacturing environment and you're making a product, and maybe you have a supply chain in which you are feeding your product into other factories. Being able to meet those shipment windows and mitigating the possibility of fines or other fees associated with delaying the creation of your product or delaying the shipment of your product provides a great cost hedge against some of those other risks and uncertainty as well.